Welcome to the Intrinsic First Leadership Podcast. I'm Aaron Robbins with Intrinsic First. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes. Ready to dive into the world of leadership? Let's get started. All right. Well,
wait, are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just making sure.
Darn. We are recording. Yes. Yeah. Double check. All right, everyone. Well, welcome back. We are going to do another podcast with Brian Keller as our special guest. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic related to leadership, but about a video game that's near and dear to us called Helldivers 2. And we've been playing it a lot lately, more than I probably should, considering all the things I have on my plate and the time that I have or the lack thereof. But it's a pretty interesting game when it comes to leadership because it's a small team game online.
Can you describe kind of the gist of it? Because
yeah.
Dre and I don't play, but we're very interested.
And why not?
That's what I want to figure
out.
All
right.
Right.
We're working on.
We're going to get Drea playing Helldivers
2. there's eye roll number one.
Yeah. All right. So Helldivers 2 is essentially Starship Troopers in a video game where it's an online game where you play with other people and you are on a planet trying to eradicate either bugs or robots from the planet. And so we don't need to go into the whole premise of the whole thing or anything, but you're part of this new super Earth democracy that's trying to kill all the bad guys from these planets. And so the missions are all short, 15 to 40 minute timed missions, and you are with you and three other people or up to three other people, and you have to go down and you have to kill all the bugs or achieve whatever the mission is. Yeah, whatever the mission is. You may have to shoot off a nuke, or you have to turn off all the comms from a certain areas, or whatever it might be. And in doing so, you have to stay alive and do all that.
And you're
collect things.
You know the other people on your team, right? Are you?
Oh, this is a very important dynamic of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very important.
Go ahead.
So when Aaron and I play together, sometimes it's just Aaron and I and then two random people that we don't know. Other times we get a squad of four together and everyone knows each other. We play with Adam Kessler a lot, who's fantastic at the game.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's your ringer.
He's a ringer. Oh, yeah. And when we're playing with all four of us and we know each other, everyone has an open mic. So we're all talking to each other and there's a lot of communication.
A lot of coordination going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you play with random people, especially when it's just you and then three other random people, it's a real crapshoot if they're going to communicate.
Okay. But they all have their mic as well. They get their headphones and mic.
They could.
They could, but most people don't talk.
Oh, interesting.
And Aaron and I were talking about the dynamics of the game. At the easier levels, every great video game has varying levels of difficulty, right? To serve a lot of different players. And this game has up to 9 difficulty levels. When you start out and you're playing on the earlier difficulty levels, you don't need a lot of leadership within that squad of 4 people.
The task is pretty easy, I imagine.
The task is easy. You're okay. You're not going to get killed. So you're not as worried about support from your fellow Helldivers. But as the difficulty increases, it gets very hard. And the game is designed, yes, you could play solo. You could play all by yourself. Mm-hmm. But the game is very intricate in the way that it really does force you into leadership principles. You have to communicate with each other. You got to watch each other's back or you just keep dying over and over again.
So does the game give you like who's the team leader or do you guys figure that out on your own or how do you guys manage that?
It does not. Okay. There is one person whose ship you kind of get deployed from.
Okay.
And by default, that may be the team leader. I've said that a few times when I'm playing with randoms.
Okay.
Like, Ninja 47 Kerpow, it's your ship. You tell us where to go.
That's the name of their handle, I imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, people have the weirdest names. What we just played with like nipple chicken or something recently. People have the weirdest names. I don't know where they come up with this.
We're gonna ask, what are your names? I guess what are your handle? I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Meow Mix 2000.
Meow Mix 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, on multiple missions, Splinter, his cat, starts meowing in the background so loud that you can hear it like clearly through the microphone.
So you have your theme.
So then I just start meowing back at him.
Yeah, you gotta have a mascot.
Yeah.
That's the only way to play.
Yeah.
And yours?
My handle's I'm Shmoo.
I'm sure.
Yeah, for my nickname Shmoo.
Yep.
Yeah.
What would be your handle?
Z.
Z? Just straight up Z? I like it.
Z.
All right, let's go on. I don't know what mine would
Jimmy.
be.
Well, yeah. What?
It's coming back to you.
I know, right?
Wait.
I used to have a
What's
handle
yours
back in
gonna
the day. It would be like, like J Rock would be like something I would do.
J Rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Aaron, what are some of you guys are trained professionals in the game of leadership, doctor, certified, and you're getting advanced degrees.
Or certifiable.
Your company and the podcast is all about leadership. So
Sure.
From your trained perspective, what are the principles of leadership that you need in Helldivers? And when those are lacking, what goes wrong?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. So,
we should do a podcast about that.
you know what? Why don't we do a podcast on it? Yeah. So you're talking about, well, it's interesting because like you said, you can be in with just one other person, which I actually kind of like. Last night I was playing with Mike and it was just the two of us. And as long as you're not getting completely overwhelmed.
Was it like you can have two people on it? I mean, or do
You
you have
can
to have
have
four?
up to 4.
Okay, so you can actually play with just two people.
You
then.
can play with one. So I'll go and do missions by myself, but I can't handle the difficulty. Doesn't adjust based on how many people are in the thing. The difficulty adjusts based on what you pick. When you go down on the mission, the way it's set up is you get 4 things that you can take, and you have as you level up, you can acquire more different types of guns. They call them stratagems, where you can have like missiles shoot down from your ship above, and different ones work in different situations. Okay. And so when you come down, you need other people on the higher levels. And that's where Brian was talking about coordination. You need other people because you only have 4 spots. So there's a coordination aspect there.
So the question was, how do you?
Yeah. So from a leadership perspective, we're talking about team context, right? It's 4, which is a team, and it's very interdependent. And yeah, I've never like had someone formally designate a leader, but there is kind of an assumption because you have to decide where you're going to go next within the map because there's different places you can go. Are we going to go take out this bug nest, or are we going to go take the objective first? And which way are we going to go? Because if you start splitting up on the harder levels, you're going to get swamped.
But nobody's actually designated a team lead, so it's almost like an informal leader that kind of takes charge.
Typically, it becomes an informal leader, but since you bring it up, I mean, we could more formally designate. And like you said, sometimes whoever ship it's on, or like when we're with Adam, I think typically Adam,
because he's the best. But I wonder that's because he's so good,
because
right?
of his skill, right? And we kind of let him tell us where to go, or we'll communicate Or we'll talk about, hey, do we want to go left or right? So you could even have, again, another leadership piece is decision making, right? And do we make a decision based on leader decides, or do we make a decision as a group? And I think that what's important about it is that when you do have good coordination, you can fly through a mission, and it's so much more fun, right? Because when I'm playing, like I don't like playing with strangers because they don't talk, and you don't know what they're doing.
It is crazy how varying the experience can be when you play with people who talk a lot and communicate, and you're breezing through. It's the best. And then when it's not working, when people are going in 4 different directions and you're getting killed over and over again, it is so frustrating.
But I think about the impact of our generation. We all grew up playing video games, and then even more so when you talk about millennials and Gen Zs. I mean, like the video game, whether it's this
Fortnite is a big one.
It's huge. And
Minecraft.
I hear my kid,
Roblox.
Cooper's up there and he's yelling at his teammates on Fortnite, or him and his brother are bickering back and forth by doing. But eventually they learn how to work it out, and then the communication gets better, the play gets better.
Right.
So no, that's
well, and you can also build, right? So maybe you are with strangers, but if they do talk, which we've had a few times, and then you run a couple missions in a row, you start to kind of get the hang of it because you learn each person's kind of skills or approach to things. But yeah, I don't know. It is pretty interesting because it is a very classic example of a team. It's interdependent. You can't complete the mission without someone else, working on it with you, and the interplay. You rely on them and they rely on you for the different aspects of.
So you're getting
the
a lot.
team.
You're getting a lot of joy out of just the communication and accomplishing the task with the team.
Well, I think the joy in terms of video game, there's definitely a connection piece for this game, anyways. Like I usually don't play these kind of online games.
So Brian, what do you enjoy about the whole team thing? I mean, you guys are really both into this. This is cool.
Well, it's funny because what Aaron just said is true for me too. This is the first game I play where it's online with multiple people at the same time. I shied away from those games. Always gamed my whole life, but independently. And there's some aspects to it that are really awesome. Like you want to contribute to that team. So you want to, in some way, show the other team members that you belong there and you can carry your weight.
Right on.
And at first, when you're just starting out in the game and you're a lower level and you don't have all the stratagems, the upgrades yet, your ability to help out is less if you are playing with people that have been, because I could be level 2 and you could be level 50. That matchup could absolutely occur.
Okay.
So you're looking toward the people that are at a higher level to kind of show you different techniques and things like that. Now, if you know them, you'll just talk about it freely.
Sure.
But there is, in some ways, like a little bit of like shyness that occurs when you don't know somebody and they're a much higher level. You're not just sometimes willing to be like, hey, I don't know you, but how'd you do that? So you're kind of observing them as they play. And
I imagine if you're the lower level, I mean, you're also gaining more points as you accomplish more tasks with the higher level person.
You're going to get the same amount of experience, but it goes a longer way.
Sure. So there is a whole field in sports psychology where you have practitioners going into esports, and you start seeing mental skills coaches, like League of League of Legends? I guess that game was broadcast in sports arenas, and they fill up sports arenas. They have these big, huge, tournaments. But those teams are sponsored, and there's lots of money goes into that. And so those teams are now offering positions where you have a sports psychology type of person, a practitioner, come in and help the kids with, or players, help them, because they're not always kids. There's like 20-something years as well. But, help them with their mindset and how to overcome adversity, how to deal with some of the anxiety that happens to like athletes, sports. So, I mean, I would even consider taking sports psychology and changing the whole name to performance psychology, because a lot of those skill sets actually apply. And they're also giving scholarships away, like D1 scholarships. Some schools have an esports team.
Video game.
At Poway High School, they have an esports lab. And my 11-year-old son, his good friend, his dad teaches there. Like next week, they're going to go and play Roblox or something in the esports lab. So it's only a matter of time before that becomes a competitive and sanctioned by CIF or whatnot.
Yeah.
But they all require that sports, like, because there's a lot of mental skills. Like when you fail a mission, like how do you deal with that?
That's cool. This is the first game where I really also noticed how much skill is involved, because when Aaron and I played the other games where you're just playing by yourself, it's just you. So you're leveling up at your own progression. I played some of the notoriously harder games out there from the Dark Souls, Demon Souls series. You just die a lot, but it's just you.
Right.
So when we started playing Helldivers 2 and got on with Adam Kassler, and he's killing twice as many people as,
you get
as
stats.
me.
You get stats at the end of every mission.
You got all your stats.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, how is he... now I just said before, I want to be valuable to the team. I'm not carrying my weight. How do I improve?
Yeah.
And that aspect of it is really cool. And that gave me that understanding about esports, and like, no, there is a difference. You can be good or bad at these games. There's no doubt. And the neat thing about Helldivers 2 is also the loot system. All games have leveling up and loot for the most part. There's loot in Helldivers, but everyone shares it. So if Aaron picks something up on the planet, I get it also. So we're not fighting over it. And this game has...
It's not a disease. What is the it?
What's
no,
the
like loot, like you found. They
Loot
call them
being
samples,
money.
or
Yeah,
money,
not a disease. Not like Aaron picks up chlamydia and I get it also.
which has happened. No.
But they baked teamwork into this, and there's no player
cool.
versus player in Helldivers 2, where almost all the other games that are like this do have that, where you just can battle it out.
Excellent.
But that leads to an extremely toxic environment.
Sure.
There's just no doubt it's been shown. You just watch YouTube and you can see.
So that's where the interdependence comes in, where you're not battling. You're not,
There's a
it's not-
true team goal,
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
and there's no individual. Like we don't gain unless we all gain.
Right. And you can tell that it was carefully developed that way. That's the neat part about it, where the team had to sit around and think about these things. It didn't just happen. So they said, we want this to be different. We want it to be a team-based game. And
Okay. Oh, that's very cool.
it really comes through.
Helldivers too.
Yeah. So I guess getting back to how do you apply the leadership and what could help people when they're doing it? I think the communication is super important. Being able to have, maybe people don't have a mic, but being able to have a mic and being able to talk to each other and coordinate, I think, is a very important thing. Just like in any team, you need to be able to have open communication and transparency. And even, as you were saying it, like if you come in and you're not that good, or you don't necessarily know you're still learning, just being able to state that up front to everyone and set that expectation. Because otherwise, the other guys are going to, it creates an aspect, it could create an aspect of empathy, is like, oh, okay, thank you for acknowledging that. Now I know.
Can you see their level? Like you can't see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know if you're level 6 or Brian's already like 40 or something, and
I play like a level 6.
And I asked, you have to, there's a hand-eye coordination. You have to be seeing what's going on, and you have to be.
There isn't. Yeah. There's definitely a learning curve. Just
a hand-eye.
Yeah. How to, so like
Fire.
The guns have kickback, recoil. So you have to get used to how you shoot. And honestly, I learned a lot just from, so when you die,
Aaron died a lot at first.
I die a lot. Yeah, I died a lot. But when you die, somebody has to bring you back. They have to throw a little beacon thing, and then they shoot you back down from the ship, and then you land. But for the time before that, you're now watching first person view of one of the other players. I would typically go where Adam, and I would watch Adam, and I'd start watching some of his techniques, and there's technique to it. So yeah, I mean, and so you think about the team context from Leadership Genius. I think it all applies. So being able to communicate openly and even just designating someone, making sure right up front, either we're going to decide where to go as a group, or, hey, so-and-so's lead, you've got point, tell us where we're going. And, there's ways to mark places on the map so you know where to go. And I've actually even seen when people don't talk, there are better experiences when people communicate through even just marking. Because you'll have someone, if it's their ship and you join their game, they'll mark something on the map so you know where to go. That's it's still communication. They're not saying it, but they're communicating to everyone so that we're clear.
Is there any other way that they don't do well other than not communicate? I mean, there are things that people do that always kind of screws up the entire team that you see happen over and over again.
Yeah, you'll watch. You could just label it as selfish play. Like if there's a bunch of enemies coming at you, and then you realize one guy just completely bounced from
away.
the fight, and they're over.
I've had kids purposely fuck it up.
Leroy Jenkins. Have you ever heard of that, Drea?
Leroy Jenkins.
It's a very popular. It's a viral video.
Is it?
From World of Warcraft? In World of Warcraft, people do raids, and it's like 40 people, and it's highly coordinated. You have similar thing. You have certain roles. You have tanks that are the frontline guys. You have healers in the back that are healing the tanks to make sure they don't die, and magic people.
It's not dorky at all. Don't worry.
No,
about
it's not nerdy. And so they're all waiting to go get this boss to go take him out, and everyone's waiting. And because the boss won't come attack you until you engage with him. So they were waiting on people and they were waiting to coordinate. And this guy in the video, he just runs into the boss and yells Leroy Jenkins, which I guess was his name. Leroy Jenkins!
And then one guy immediately goes, damn it, Leroy.
And he engages the boss and just screws it for everybody.
Because then the boss goes and attacks everyone. And they're not ready for it.
Take them all out. Yeah,
we have to put that up. That sounds really funny, actually.
Yeah.
Leroy Jenkins.
So but at a different scale, it's similar stuff. So yeah, it is cool.
But I think you guys hit on something. I really think because we're always thinking of creative ways to engage an audience, leaders, and we even talked about doing like an improv kind of thing and have a leadership scenario on stage and having them act it out, which I still think is a good idea. But now now you got me thinking about what if it's just getting 4 people in the same program office or wherever they are, and putting them in a scenario where they have to play a video game together, and it's team-based where they rely on one another. So I really think there's something there to do that. And then you give them a debrief afterwards. Like you observe their actions, and then you talk about communication. You talk about selfish play or whatnot. And you can actually, I like what you said where in the beginning it's not so important to have teammates. You can do a lot of these events by yourself because there's no real interdependence, skill level is low. And then as you progress to a higher level and so forth, it becomes more important. And that could be a conversation to have with a team of 4 that have to work together in the real world, if you will. So,
well, and in real life, we have teams that, things get more pressured at certain times. You have deadlines coming up, and it becomes that much more important that you've designated roles, which is another aspect of team leadership is, designating roles, making sure everyone knows what each person's responsibilities are. And that happens in real life all the time.
Considering all this, what advice do you have for our viewers to help improve their gameplay?
For me or Brian? Brian, you got any ideas?
For sure. We've touched on most of them, but in summary, the best thing you can do is actually communicate over the mic. That's real time. I can hear your voice. We can say a lot of words. There's a keyboard option, but if you're playing the game, it's too fast paced for the computer players, or especially on a PlayStation 5, to really communicate that way. Talked about designating a leader right up front who is going to guide, if it's a 4-person squad, guide the rest of the team through the mission, or to say these 2 guys are going to go up north and get this part. These 2 guys drop down south, and then we'll meet back up. There's a map function where you can do 2 things. One is to put a waypoint in, so we're headed here next, so everyone knows where to go if you're not communicating over the mics. Or the combination, you're communicating over the mics, but you're also visually pinging the map. And then you can also ping enemies. So especially when the heavier enemies pop up, everyone really needs to know that enemy's on the screen. Oh, we got a Bile Titan, which is it's going to take...
we need to swarm over here and take him out. Yeah.
And there's the enemy, but I've got this ready for him. I'm going to launch this stratagem on him and then let's see if that takes him out. And if not, then Aaron, you go next with this stratagem.
There you go. Okay.
And that's critical. What happens is if you're not communicating, everybody wants to kill the big boss, the big bug or the big robot, right? So we all go, oh, I got it. And then you get 4 stratagems that get dropped at the same time. Well, you just fundamentally wasted 3 stratagems, and those have a cooldown, so you need those later.
Right.
What else? What else, Aaron?
Well, I think just aligned with the communication, it's being specific about it. And that you gave a good example is that if somebody calls out the bug, somebody else should say, hey, I got it. So somebody calls it, kind of like in baseball. If you've got a pop fly, somebody should be calling it so the other person doesn't bump into you, because you don't want to waste 2 shots at somebody. If it only takes 1, you're going to need it coming up for another. And so naming out people is another one, because I learned that where I would say, watch your back. And everyone else is like, who are you talking to? Right? So you have to be clear about your intentions and your communication about who you're talking to and where, and be specific, which again is fundamental leadership stuff, and how you communicate transparently.
No, I look forward to watching playing Helldivers too. I think
Yeah,
that's
we're
got me
going to bring you in.
right on.
Yeah. You might make the team. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll teach Drea how to play.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels to me quicker than I'm
It is
used to.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
It can be, playing can be exhausting.
Oh,
I
sure.
get done sometimes. I'm like, I need to change my shirt. I
and-
sweat. I didn't even
And
realize.
stressful, yeah.
Who said
Especially at the end, all of a sudden they're swarming you before you.
There's
get
always
out.
a debate, like, is esports considered a sport? And in my classrooms, I used to ask that question, and it was
Yeah,
always
you have
split.
a definition of sport, right?
I do. And typically, one of the things is there a leaderboard? Is there, obviously there's a skill involved, but is there a leaderboard involved? Is there people willing to pay to watch you play? And we know that now it's true for esports. But nowhere in that definition, and there's a few other items, but nowhere in that definition is there anything about physicality. I mean, sure, you're playing with your fingers, but you're right. You're using a lot of cognitive, memory and just application and coordination with your hands and eye coordination and all that. So yeah, but it all comes into one result of performance, right? And so, but yeah. Anyways, when you ask a bunch of people, I was at the Naval Academy asking this question, and so I had a lot of people very physical. They're like in some D1 sport. And I get the big football player, not even no, but hell no. There's no way that's a sport. Oh, and then the other one was, is there some level of competition? So, but based on that definition, you would argue, well, is gymnastics really a sport because it's based to a judge has to judge you on your performance, or like figure skating, and that would cause a whole another debate.
That's another podcast there altogether.
Yeah. No,
All
anyways,
right.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's.
Helldivers too.
I think this is good application leadership. Should we finish with a joke? You've got your cards.
How does a fish celebrate Christmas?
Did you tell us yet?
He did, but I can't give it away.
I don't even remember.
They hang a reef on the door. Come on.
That is really bad.
Oh, he's got a crickets button.
Can you just could you do just one click? Whee! Yeah, right there. That's it.
That's not cool.
Congrats! You made it to the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning in. We genuinely hope that you found value in our conversation. If you liked it, please click that like button below and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on our current episodes. And if you didn't like it, you can click the dislike button, but make sure you click it twice. We're eager to hear from you, whether it's your thoughts, questions, topic ideas, or if you're interested in our leadership training and consulting support. Leave us a comment below or reach out to us directly at info@intrinsicfirst.com. We're open to any and all feedback. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to having you back for more insightful leadership discussion. Until next time.